The ultimatum. Captain Maya Chen stood motionless on the bridge of the Earth ship Horizon, her eyes fixed on the holographic transmission playing before her crew. The alien figure on screen, a tall, willowy being with iridescent skin that shifted between blue and green, spoke with the practiced neutrality of someone delivering a death sentence. By unanimous decision of the Galactic Conclave, humanity has been classified as a Type 4 developmentally dangerous species, the Exiled spokesperson announced. All human vessels must return to their home system within 15 standard cycles. All human settlements on conclave worlds must be evacuated. Earth's solar system will be placed under immediate quarantine until further review, which will not occur for at least 100 cycles. Maya's first officer, Commander Raj Patel, cursed under his breath. Around the bridge, her crew, 20 of Earth's finest, watched in stunned silence as their futures collapsed before them. "This can't be legal," Raj whispered. "We've had treaties with the Conclave for 30 years. Maya turned to her communications officer. "Lieutenant Davis, get me Earth Command. Priority Alpha." For 3 decades, humanity had been the newcomers in a galactic community of 17 spacefaring species. Humans had approached the stars with characteristic enthusiasm and adaptation, advancing further in 30 years than the Solari had in 2 centuries. They'd established colonies on 12 worlds, built trade networks, exchanged knowledge, and believed they'd found their place among the stars. Until today. "Captain, I have Admiral Kwan on secure channel," Lieutenant Davis called. The Admiral's face appeared on screen, lines of exhaustion already etched around her eyes. "Captain Chin, I assume you've received the Conclave Declaration." "Yes, Admiral." "Is this legitimate?" "The Horizon is currently 6 light-years from Sol on a diplomatic mission to Eridu." "It's legitimate. The Conclave sent ambassadors to deliver the message in person. They're claiming we've breached Article 7 of the Membership Accord." Maya frowned. "Article 7. The prohibition against developing certain classes of technology without oversight. What technology are they referring to?" "They won't say specifically, just that routine monitoring has detected concerning advancements in prohibited research areas." "That's absurd," Maya said, keeping her voice level despite her rising anger. "Earth has been transparent with all our research." "Not all of Earth," Admiral Kwan said carefully. "The Mars Institute has been creative with their reporting." Maya understood the implication immediately. The Mars Institute, Earth's premier research facility, had always pushed boundaries. But to risk humanity's standing in the galactic community was beyond reckless. "What are our orders, Admiral?" "For now, comply. Return to Earth space immediately. All ships are being recalled. The President will address the United Nations in 12 hours. After the transmission ended, Maya turned to her crew. "Set course for Earth. Maximum sustainable speed." As the Horizon altered course, Maya retreated to her quarters. There, she accessed her private terminal and sent an encrypted message to an old friend, Dr. Elena Volkov, Assistant Director at the Mars Institute. The response came within minutes. "The accusations are false, but not baseless. We need to talk in person. What they fear isn't what we've done. It's what we've discovered." The Horizon was 3 days into its return journey when they encountered the first Conclave enforcement vessel, a massive Drool warship that appeared without warning, dropping out of FTL barely 1,000 kilometers off their port bow. "Attention human vessel." The Drool commander's gravelly voice filled the bridge. "Prepare for inspection." Maya exchanged glances with Raj. The Conclave had no legal right to board human ships until the quarantine officially began, still 12 days away. "This is Captain Maya Chen of the Earth vessel Horizon. We are returning to Earth space as directed. Under the transition clause of the Membership Accord, you have no authority to board this vessel until the quarantine date." There was a pause. Then, "Human vessel, your species' rights under the Accord have been temporarily suspended pending investigation. Prepare for boarding or face disabling fire." Maya muted the transmission and turned to her tactical officer. Lieutenant Wong, options. Lieutenant Jessica Wong, a compact woman with the calm demeanor of someone who had calculated every possible scenario, responded immediately. Their weapon systems are active but not locked. Their shields are at 60%, standard protocol. If we execute a Delta 7 maneuver, we can break line of sight, engage our countermeasures, and jump to FTL before they can target us. That's dangerously close to an act of war, Raj cautioned. So is illegally boarding a diplomatic vessel, Maya countered. She unmuted the transmission. Drool vessel, we are complying with Conclave directives by returning to Earth space. Any attempt to board will be considered an unauthorized act under galactic law. We respectfully request you allow us to continue our journey. The Drool commander's face showed the characteristic stillness that his species displayed when angry. You have 30 seconds to power down your engines, or we will open fire. Maya nodded to Lieutenant Wong. Execute Delta 7. The horizon suddenly pitched downward, its thrusters firing in a precise pattern that sent the ship into a controlled roll away from the Drool vessel. Simultaneously, their electronic countermeasures deployed, flooding the Drool sensors with false readings. Jump drive ready, the navigation officer called. Execute. The stars blurred as the horizon leaped into faster-than-light travel, leaving the Drool vessel behind. Clean getaway, Lieutenant Wong reported. No pursuit detected. Maya addressed the bridge crew. That was a deliberate provocation. They wanted us to either submit to illegal boarding or commit an act they could classify as hostile. She turned to communications. Lieutenant Davis, encrypt and transmit all sensor data from this encounter to Earth Command. Make it clear this was an unprovoked attempt to violate treaty provisions. By the time the horizon reached Earth's orbit, the solar system had transformed into a fortress. Every military and civilian ship capable of spaceflight had been recalled. The orbital platforms around Earth, Mars, and Jupiter's moons bristled with hastily mounted defense systems. On Earth, chaos reigned. Millions of humans living on conclave worlds were being forcibly repatriated, many losing everything they had built over decades. Markets collapsed as trade with alien species abruptly halted. Riots broke out in major cities as resource shortages began. Maya docked the horizon at the new Jakarta space elevator and took a shuttle directly to the emergency meeting at United Earth headquarters in Singapore. There, she found not just military leaders, but also Dr. Elena Volkov from the Mars Institute. Elena was a tall woman with prematurely silver hair and the intense focus of someone who rarely looked away from microscopes and data streams. She pulled Maya aside before the meeting began. "It's worse than we thought," Elena whispered. "The Conclave isn't quarantining us because of what we've developed. They're afraid of what we found." "Which is what, exactly?" Maya asked. "Evidence that the Conclave has been systematically suppressing technological development across all member species," Elena said. "And not just advanced weapons tech, medical technology, faster-than-light communications, energy production. They've been keeping everyone at a controlled level of advancement for thousands of years." Maya stared at her old friend in disbelief. How could they even manage that?" "Because they're not the real authority," Elena said, her voice dropping even lower. "The Conclave serves something else, something older. We found references to them in ruins on Mars that predate human civilization. We call them the Architects." Before Elena could continue, Admiral Kwan called the meeting to order. The room fell silent as the Admiral laid out humanity's dire situation. "The quarantine becomes official in 7 days," she announced. "After that, any human vessel outside our solar system will be considered fair game for Conclave enforcement. The President has authorized me to inform you that we are now operating under Defense Protocol Omega." A murmur ran through the room. Protocol Omega, preparation for interstellar war. "With respect, Admiral," Maya spoke up, "before we commit to a potentially catastrophic conflict, we need to understand why this is happening." Dr. Volkov has information that suggests this quarantine isn't about our technological advancement at all. All eyes turned to Alina, who stepped forward. 3 months ago, the Mars Institute discovered a sealed chamber 2 kilometers beneath the Valles Marineris. Inside was technology that doesn't match any known conclave species, technology far beyond even their capabilities. She projected images onto the main display, intricate machinery with flowing, organic lines that seemed to pulse with inner light even in the still images. This technology is at least 50,000 years old, but still operational. It appears to be a form of faster-than-light communication that operates on principles we barely understand. But what's most important is what we found in its memory banks. The next image showed what appeared to be a galactic map with thousands of points highlighted. This is a network, a vast network of similar devices spread throughout our galaxy. And according to the data we've decoded, the Conclave leadership has known about this network for thousands of years. They'd been using it to monitor and control the development of every species they encounter. The room erupted in questions and exclamations. Admiral Kwan had to shout for order. "Are you suggesting," she asked when quiet returned, "that the Conclave quarantined us because we found this technology?" "Yes," Alina said simply. 3 days after we accessed the primary data core, Conclave monitors arrived claiming a routine inspection. We managed to conceal our discovery, but they clearly detected something. This quarantine isn't about restricting us. It's about containing what we know. Maya's mind raced with the implications. We need proof. Proof we can present to the other species in the Conclave. Many of them have been members for thousands of years. If they learn they've been manipulated all this time. "Exactly," Alina said. "We believe there are similar installations on at least 24 worlds belonging to different Conclave species. If we could access even one more, we'd have irrefutable evidence." Admiral Kwan looked thoughtful. "You're suggesting a covert operation outside Earth space after the quarantine begins. That would be considered an act of war by the Conclave. Only if we're caught," Maya said. "The Horizon is the fastest ship in the fleet, and we've already proven we can evade Conclave enforcers." She could see the Admiral weighing the options between preparation for a war humanity couldn't win and a desperate gamble that might expose the truth. "Captain Chen," the Admiral finally said, "how soon can the Horizon be ready for departure?" Maya straightened. "We can be ready to launch in 24 hours, Admiral." "Then you have new orders. Take Dr. Volkov and whatever team she needs. Find us proof that will turn the Conclave against its leadership, because if you fail, war is the only option we have left." As the meeting adjourned, Maya felt the weight of humanity's future settling on her shoulders. But along with that weight came determination. If the Conclave thought humans would quietly accept their fate, they were about to learn how dangerous humanity could truly be. The revelation. The Horizon slipped past the quarantine line 72 hours after the official lockdown began. Captain Maya Chen had used a daring strategy, approaching the line at low power during a solar flare, masking their energy signature amid the electromagnetic chaos. The 4 Conclave patrol ships never detected them. On the bridge, Maya watched as Earth's sun diminished behind them, becoming just another star in the vast darkness. Dr. Alina Volkov stood beside her, clutching a data tablet containing everything they knew about the ancient technology network. "We're committed now," Maya said softly. "Where to first?" Alina brought up a star chart on the main display. Talaris II, home to the Vesh. They're one of the newer Conclave members, only admitted a century ago. According to the Mars data, there's an installation in their southern polar region. The Vesh, Maya mused. Insectoid species, philosophers and artists, not particularly militant, and rumored to be dissatisfied with certain Conclave restrictions, Alina added. "If any species might be sympathetic to our cause, it's them." Maya nodded to her navigator. "Set course for the Talaris system. Maximum stealth protocols throughout the journey." As the Horizon accelerated to FTL, Maya gathered her senior staff in the conference room. Besides Alina, there was Raj, Lieutenant Wong, Lieutenant Davis, and Chief Engineer Dr. Muhammad Al-Farsi, a brilliant physicist whose understanding of alien technology had proven invaluable countless times. Our mission has 3 phases, Maya explained. First, we make contact with potential allies among the Vesh. Second, we locate and access the installation on Talaris II to confirm Dr. Volkov's findings. Third, we gather enough evidence to present to the Conclave General Assembly. Evidence so compelling that even the most loyal members will question their leadership. And if we can't find allies? Raj asked, ever the pragmatist. Then we proceed alone, Maya said firmly. Failure isn't an option. Earth is preparing for war even as we speak, a war we cannot win through conventional means. Dr. Al-Farsi cleared his throat. There's another possibility we should consider, he said in his precise, measured voice. If these installations are as powerful as the Mars facility suggests, perhaps we could use them ourselves, broadcast the truth directly to every conclave world simultaneously. Alina shook her head. Too risky. We barely understand how the technology works. One wrong configuration could have catastrophic consequences. Besides, Maya added, our goal isn't to appear as conquerors or usurpers. We need to be seen as truth-bringers, revealing a deception that affects all species, not just humans. The journey to Talaris took 9 days, during which the Horizon twice had to take evasive action to avoid conclave patrols. When they finally arrived, they positioned themselves in a high orbit around Talaris I's largest moon, using its mass to shield them from planetary sensors. Now comes the tricky part, Maya said, making contact without getting captured or killed. Lieutenant Davis had been monitoring Vesh communications since their arrival. Captain, I've identified several frequencies used by academic institutions. There's one in particular, a philosophical discourse channel, that frequently discusses conclave policies in surprisingly critical terms. Can you isolate individual users? Maya asked. Yes, there's one participant who's particularly outspoken, someone using the identifier, truth seeker above all. Their arguments against conclave technological restrictions are, well, they sound almost human in their frustration. Maya exchanged glances with Alina. Make contact. Use the secure protocol we developed. Identify us only as friends who share your concerns. It took 3 tense hours before they received a response. Friends are rare in these times. The seeking of truth has become dangerous. If you are who I suspect, your presence here violates many laws. Why should I risk everything to meet with quarantined outlaws? Maya dictated their reply herself. Because we have discovered why the quarantine was imposed. Not for what we've done, but for what we found. Evidence of deception that affects not just humans, but all conclave species. We seek alliance, not asylum. The response came faster this time. Coordinates and time will follow on this frequency. Come unarmed and with no more than 3 representatives. Any sign of deception will end with your capture. The meeting location was a nature preserve 20 kilometers from the nearest Vesh settlement. A dense grove of towering purple vegetation that resembled Earth's bamboo but stretched nearly 100 meters toward the sky. Maya led the small team consisting of herself, Alina, and Lieutenant Wong, whose combat training made her the logical choice despite the unarmed requirement. They wore light environmental suits calibrated to Talaris's atmosphere, breathable for humans, but lacking certain trace elements their bodies required. Stay alert, Maya warned as they approached the coordinates. This could still be a trap. They entered the grove, where dappled lavender light filtered through the canopy above. The silence was absolute. No wildlife. No wind, just the soft crunch of their footsteps on the spongy ground cover. A voice spoke from behind them. Humans have a reputation for many things. Punctuality is not among them. They turned to find a Vesh standing in a small clearing. The insectoid being stood nearly 2 meters tall, with an exoskeleton that shimmered with iridescent blues and greens. Its 4 arms were held in the traditional Vesh greeting position. 2 extended forward, 2 folded at the thorax. I am Zix Terrell, the Vesh said. In your tongue, it would translate approximately to questioner of accepted wisdom. You may call me Zix. Maya stepped forward. I am Captain Maya Chen of Earth. These are my colleagues, Dr. Elena Volkov and Lieutenant Jessica Wong. You have taken a tremendous risk coming here, Zix said, mandibles clicking lightly between words. The Conclave has placed enforcers on every world. On Talaris alone, there are 3 Drool warships in orbit. We wouldn't have come without good reason, Maya replied. What do you know about the quarantine order against humanity? Zix's compound eyes reflected the purple light in faceted patterns. The official explanation is that humans developed prohibited technologies in secret, but many of us find this unconvincing. Your species has been remarkably transparent in your development, some would say recklessly so. The real reason has nothing to do with our technological development, Elena said, stepping forward. It's about what we found. She activated a holographic projector showing images of the Mars installation. Zix went completely still, a sign of intense interest in Vesh body language. Where was this discovered? Beneath the surface of Mars, one of the planets in our system, Elena explained. It's a communication and monitoring technology that predates both our civilizations, and according to the data it contained, similar installations exist throughout the galaxy, including here on Talaris, in the southern polar region, Zix said, confirming their information. Maya felt a surge of hope. You know about it. Not officially. There are legends among my people, tales of the time before the Conclave found us. Our ancestors spoke of a singing mountain near the southern pole that was declared forbidden when the Conclave arrived. Any who ventured there disappeared. The Conclave has been suppressing knowledge of these installations for thousands of years, Elena continued, using them to monitor and control the technological development of every species they encounter. You have proof of this? Zix asked. Partial proof, Maya admitted. That's why we're here. If we can access the installation on Talaris and confirm it's part of the same network, we'll have evidence that can't be dismissed as human deception. Zix was silent for a long moment. Among my kind, there is a philosophical concept called truth spiral, the idea that once one begins questioning established truths, one must follow the spiral wherever it leads. The Vesh's upper limbs made an undulating gesture. I have been following my own truth spiral for many cycles. I will help you. 3 days later, Maya, Elena, and Zix stood at the base of a mountain in Talaris's southern polar region. They had traveled in a Vesh research vessel, ostensibly conducting climate studies. Lieutenant Wong and 2 other Horizon crew members remained with the ship, maintaining communication silence unless emergency protocols were triggered. The mountain before them appeared unremarkable, a jagged peak of dark stone rising from an otherwise flat plain. But according to both the Mars data and Vesh legends, somewhere inside was an installation identical to the one Elena had discovered. The entrance should be on the eastern face, Elena said, consulting her data tablet, approximately 30 meters above the base. They circled the mountain until Zix suddenly stopped. Here, do you see the pattern in the rock face? Maya squinted. At first, she saw nothing unusual, but then, a subtle symmetry in what had appeared to be natural formations. Once noticed, it became impossible to unsee. A massive doorway, perfectly disguised as natural stone. How do we open it? She asked. Elena approached the rock face. The Mars entrance responded to specific frequencies. She removed a small device from her pack and placed it against the stone. It emitted a series of pulses too low for human ears to detect. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then, with a deep rumbling sound, the stone began to recede, revealing a dark passage leading into the mountain. It worked, Elena breathed. The legends were true, Zix said, mandibles clicking rapidly in excitement. The singing mountain opens. They activated their lights and entered the passage, which sloped gently downward. The walls were smooth, made of the same strange material they had found on Mars. Neither metal nor stone, but something that seemed to absorb and redirect their light in subtle ways. After walking for nearly 10 minutes, the passage opened into a vast chamber. As their lights swept across it, Maya felt a sense of déjà vu. The chamber was identical to the one on Mars, a circular room dominated by a central pillar surrounded by what appeared to be control consoles. Incredible, Elena whispered, approaching the nearest console. The configuration is exactly the same. Can you activate it? Maya asked. I think so. The Mars system used a simple interface once we understood the basic principles. Elena placed her hands on the console's surface, which immediately illuminated with symbols and flowing patterns of light. The central pillar began to glow with a soft blue radiance that gradually intensified. Zix stepped back, upper limbs raised in what Maya recognized as a defensive posture. What is happening? It's connecting to the network, Elena explained, her fingers moving across the console's surface, just as the Mars installation did. If I can access the main data core. The chamber suddenly filled with a three-dimensional projection of the galaxy, identical to the one they had seen on Mars, with thousands of points of light representing other installations. There, Elena said, indicating a pulsing light that represented their current location. We're online. Now I can access the historical data. The galactic map dissolved, replaced by a stream of images and symbols too fast for Maya to follow. Elena's expression grew increasingly troubled as she processed what she was seeing. This is worse than we thought, she said finally. The Conclave leadership, the High Council, they're not just suppressing technology. They're servants. Servants of what? Maya asked. The architects, the beings who created this network. According to this data, they seeded the galaxy with these installations billions of years ago, before retreating to somewhere beyond our galaxy. The Conclave wasn't formed as a cooperative of species. It was established by the first species the architects chose as their representatives. The Tsilari, Maya realized, naming the oldest Conclave species. Yes, the architects left instructions. The galaxy was to be maintained in a specific state of balanced development. No single species was to advance too quickly or in certain directions. The Xilari created the Conclave to enforce these directives, bringing new species under control as they reached space. Zix moved closer to the display. Why? What purpose does this serve? Elena manipulated the controls, searching deeper. It says, the galaxy is an experiment, a controlled environment, and we, all intelligent species, are the subjects. Maya felt cold anger building inside her. We're being kept as lab specimens for billions of years. Not exactly. Elena continued reading. It's more complicated. The architects are studying something they call developmental divergence, how different species solve problems and advance along different technological paths. But they want this to happen within controlled parameters. And humanity violated those parameters, Maya concluded. We developed too quickly, in too many directions simultaneously. We didn't follow the expected patterns. That made us dangerous to the experiment. Zix made a sound Maya couldn't interpret. My people have been members for a century, and in that time, our development has indeed slowed. Research initiatives mysteriously lose funding. Brilliant thinkers suffer accidents or become discouraged. I always sensed a pattern, but this. We need to copy all of this, Maya said. Complete confirmation that matches the Mars data, evidence we can present to the General Assembly. Elena nodded, already doing it. But there's something else here, something the Mars installation didn't have. She manipulated the controls again, and the display changed to show what appeared to be a communications interface. This installation has direct access to the Conclave Central Network. We can broadcast a message to every Conclave world simultaneously, with authentication codes that can't be blocked. Perfect, Maya said. We record everything we found, transmit it galaxy-wide. Every species learns the truth at once. Captain, Alina said hesitantly, there's a warning here. Using the network for unauthorized communication could trigger automated defense protocols. The architects left. Safeguards. What kind of safeguards? It doesn't specify. But given the level of technology we're dealing with. Their discussion was interrupted by an urgent communication from the horizon. Lieutenant Davis's voice came through Maya's comm unit, tense and hurried. Captain, emergency situation. 3 Conclave warships just entered orbit. They're demanding the Talaris government turn over any humans on the planet. They'd know you're there. Maya's mind raced. How long until they pinpoint our location? Unknown, but Conclave ground forces are already deploying to the southern region. Maya looked at Alina, still working at the console, then at Zix, who had gone completely still. They must have been monitoring us since we arrived, Maya said, waiting to see what we would do. Or, Zix suggested, there is a more immediate explanation. This facility has been dormant for countless generations. The moment we activated it, its energy signature would have been detected by Conclave monitors. They know exactly where we are. Maya made her decision. Elena, how quickly can you prepare a transmission? A few minutes to compile the data, format it properly. Do it. Zix, we promise to bring truth to your people. Will you stand with us when we broadcast it? The Vesh straightened to full height. I have followed the truth spiral this far. I will see where it ends. Elena worked feverishly at the console while Maya prepared their message. A concise explanation of what they had discovered, with the data to back it up. As she finished, a distant rumbling echoed through the passage they had used to enter. They're here, Zix said. Almost ready, Elena called. Broadcasting in 3, 2, 1. The central pillar pulsed with blinding light as their message, and all the supporting data flooded into the Conclave network, bypassing all security protocols. Instantaneously, every Conclave world received the same information, irrefutable evidence that their galactic community was built on lies, that their development had been artificially constrained for billions of years. The chamber shuddered as an explosion rocked the passage outside. We need to move, Maya said. Is there another way out? Zix pointed to a previously unnoticed opening on the far side of the chamber. All Vesh mountains have multiple passages. It is why we survive predators. They hurried toward the opening as the sound of weapons fire grew closer. The new passage twisted upward through the mountain, occasionally branching. Zix led them confidently, choosing paths that gradually brought them toward the surface. Captain, Elena said as they climbed, I've been thinking about what happens next. Even with the truth exposed, the Conclave leadership won't simply surrender control. No, Maya agreed, but they'll face questions and demands from every member species. The unity they've maintained through deception will fracture, and Earth remains under quarantine. For now. But we've turned the narrative. We're no longer dangerous outlaws. We're the species that exposed the greatest deception in galactic history. They emerged from the mountain on its western face, where the Vesh research vessel waited, its engines already running. Lieutenant Wong stood at the hatch, weapon drawn. Captain, Conclave forces are converging from the north and east. We need to lift off immediately. They boarded quickly, and the vessel rose into the air just as Conclave troops appeared around the mountain's base. Energy weapons fired, missing narrowly as they accelerated away. Set course for the horizon's position, Maya ordered. Maximum speed. As they climbed through Talaris's atmosphere, they received a transmission from Raj on the horizon. Captain, something's happening. Conclave communications are in chaos. Their patrol ships are receiving conflicting orders. Some are maintaining positions, others are withdrawing. The broadcast is having its effect, Maya said. Confusion in the ranks as the truth spreads. Another transmission cut in, this one on an open Conclave frequency. The voice spoke in the formal tones of a Xilari High Counselor. Attention all Conclave forces. Stand down pursuit of human vessels. I repeat, stand down. By emergency decree of the General Assembly, the quarantine of Earth has been suspended pending full investigation of information recently brought to light. All species representatives are ordered to reconvene at Conclave Center immediately. Maya, Elena, and Zix exchanged looks of cautious optimism. It worked, Elena said. They can't ignore this. No, Maya agreed. But this is just the beginning. The Conclave will try to control the narrative, minimize the revelation. They will fail, Zix said with certainty. Truth, once released, cannot be recaptured. My people have a saying. Knowledge flies on many wings, but lies must crawl on a single leg. Your truth is already flying across the galaxy. As they docked with the horizon, Maya received a priority transmission from Earth, from Admiral Quan herself. Captain Chen, your broadcast reached us 20 minutes ago. I don't know how you managed it, but the President has received communications from 7 different Conclave species in the last 10 minutes. They're all demanding the quarantine be lifted. They're talking about a new compact between species outside Conclave control. Maya felt a weight lifting from her shoulders. We're coming home, Admiral. With proof, with allies, and with a new future for humanity among the stars. As the horizon set course for Earth, Maya stood on the bridge watching the stars streak past. Humanity had been labeled outlaws by a system built on deception. But in their defiance, they had changed the course of galactic history. The road ahead would not be easy. The Conclave leadership would resist. The Architect's purpose remained mysterious, and humanity would need to find its new place in a transformed galactic community. But for the first time since the quarantine began, the future held promise instead of threat. Humanity hadn't just survived. They had liberated not only themselves, but potentially every intelligent species in the galaxy. Captain, Raj said, interrupting her thoughts. We're receiving transmissions from all over Conclave space, species requesting direct contact with Earth, bypassing Conclave protocols. They're calling us revolutionaries. Maya smiled. Tell them we prefer truth seekers and set a course for home. We have a lot of work to do.